This is Unlock Your Soul podcast, a platform where we get to scratch beneath the surface and reveal what really makes us human. Karibu Nairobi. When was the first time, what is your memory, that is, of the first time when you were in Nairobi? How did that feel? Were you conned? Were you robbed? Were you just excited by the sights and sounds, the flora and the fauna, all of that things? Because Nairobi is like a real jungle. But if there's anybody in Nairobi who knows this town more than anybody else, is Mr. Wango Alfred. Let's unlock the keys to Nairobi with Wango. Okay, what's up? Welcome to Unlock Your Soul with yours truly, Anthony Your Soul. I am with one of Kenya's finest artists. He is a visual storyteller. He is into hiking. He is... What is he? He's a history connoisseur. Has anybody ever called you that? Nobody, please.
Enthusiast.
Yeah, what is that? Enthusiasm ya nani? Me, I've called you history connoisseur.
Okay.
Why? First and foremost, I want to understand, why were you afraid of doing this interview, yet you're such an extrovert?
Bro, sisi ni watu behind the scenes always, man. I'm always behind the scenes, behind the camera. So, we are not used to like eyes.
I feel like this is your new phase. You know when artists start being problematic. And me, I don't do this thing nowadays. I try to keep to myself.
We're not used to this, man.
But you could not say no to me because I will haunt you. I will call your mother.
Podcasting happen hata kwa submarine.
Thank you. I would have looked for you everywhere. So as you do this, you also love sketching a lot.
Yeah, man. I enjoy live sketching.
How did you get into it? Why not? Because you do landscapes, you do people, you do architecture.
Yeah.
How did you get into all of this?
I think most of it comes from my school. I have a background in landscape architecture.
Yeah.
So I studied landscape architecture in JKUAT.
Yeah.
And there's this one skill that was, the lecturers would insist a lot on sketching.
Yeah.
It's a way of communicating ideas visually. So from being an idea in your head into something that a client can see. And okay, now I understand your idea.
Exactly.
So the lecturers would insist a lot on that. And that's how I picked. I already had a background in drawing, but live sketching wasn't a thing that I did a lot.
Yeah.
So with that happening in school, nikajipata sketching a lot, practicing. And, my hand got better and better. I got quicker.
Yeah.
I could... because it's more of what you interpret, what you see, and now interpreting it with your arm onto a sketch pad.
Yeah.
So that's how this live sketching thing became a thing, and communicating with it.
But I also know you don't come from people will assume that people creatives are from bougie homes where there is money floating around. You're allowed to be expressive and be creative.
Yeah.
You come from Eastlands, and I know your mom played a huge role in supporting what you do.
Yeah.
How was it growing in Islando when other kids were probably playing football? You want to live sketch them or playing with them, but still your mind is in, I want to color, I want to paint.
At the time, actually, it was more of, there was this whole culture, because Eastlands is like the cradle of Nairobi culture.
Yeah.
So at the time as a kid is when matatu culture was really big.
Yeah.
So nakumbuka in primary school, guys would compete who's drawing.
You're from which hood? 5'8"?
Yeah.
From Buruburu?
Yeah, man.
So but those days you guys used to have the best matatus.
Ilikuwa
those days. I want you to remember that you guys nowadays.
Now tulihama. But
please, there are no matatus in 5'8". They are just uko ni mawangora.
Manze, but at the time nakumbuka ulikuwa na the matatu culture was big.
Yeah.
So even in school, kila mse anataka kuona who's drawing the hottest matatu.
Yeah.
And I think it felt fun rather than that. Subconsciously, you're not trying to be this dope artist, but you're just trying to be cool in the class.
Yeah.
So at the time, that's how it was. But I remember at some point, there are these guys who are teaching kids stuff to do with art in Madare.
Yeah.
So I'd go a lot to Madare on weekends. My mom would take me there.
Wow.
So I sharpened my skills a lot. I got introduced to the art space at that young age, because you're meeting these artists from Madare.
Yeah.
Na kidogo, it's a sense of community.
Yeah.
So it kind of built a foundation. So even by the time I went into boarding school, a couple of months after that, all through kumalizana na high school, like the foundation was really strong.
Yeah.
So even if like you went to schools that don't have art, or like where you're caught drawing stuff, time your class, you're in big trouble. Yeah. At least the foundation was very solid. After that, continue pursuing this thing.
So you owe your mom a huge like,
no doubt, bro.
Favor, eh?
No doubt.
Because your mom, mom, I mean, whose mom in Nairobi takes them to, let's go to the art scene, let's go and try out this. Most moms will be like, nimekwambia usome.
Yeah, but I appreciate also the fact that at the time alikuwa in this whole space civic education, because at the time, the civic education space worked a lot na artists, to propagate all this, you're trying to teach people about the constitution. Yeah. So you definitely have to use artists, to do all these campaigns. Yeah. So I think that element also by association in this idea pia, having in these spaces and maybe being introduced to these spaces.
Tell your mom something nice that you've never told her today. Mom, your mom is seated right here. Tell her.
Yeah, man.
Start with dear mom.
Dear Maito. A whole lot of love. Yeah. Always.
You're done. Yeah. I thought you just said mom in your native language and then you moved on. Tell her, dear mom.
Yeah.
Because of you, mom.
Yeah, always grateful. I'm always grateful. Yeah.
Your mom is gonna be like, that son of mine, not you, me. That son of mine, he's saying the truth. Why are you not saying the whole thing? Anyway, so I mean, it's nice that we've spoken about how moms and parents will be able to support us, and I feel like this season of this podcast, I really feel like it's coming down to parenthood, because parenthood towards kids who are rebellious, kids who are creative, kids who sometimes lose the way, but towards kids, period. That's very important. Do you have kids? And if you don't, will you sort of raise them up with the same sort of some sort of free will? Like, I want you to do it. I want you to go to school, but I want you to also be you.
Yeah, because ideally, I feel like all these are components of a human being. Yeah. If they express themselves in a certain way. Yeah. I don't really need to put that down. Yeah. Ideally, it's just exposing them to or creating that space that creative space or their creative self can thrive. Yeah. So no, I don't have kids, but I feel
that you know of.
Yeah.
That you know of.
Kids that I know of.
You don't have kids that you know of.
We watch about.
The ones that you don't know of, you don't know.
Bro,
maybe you got some chick pregnant and then she was like, that's an artist. I will not let my kids suffer. Let me not tell him.
We are not moving mad.
You don't know. You don't know anything.
By daily, I feel when it gets to that point. Yeah, ni acknowledge pia this person is, they're also an individual. Yeah. They're a human being. Yeah. Like, they might not even end up being artists. Yeah. They might decide to go a different way of being more of a thinker than a creative. And it's not in my place to make sure that they always have to be artists. Yeah. It's just that you create that conducive space and habitat for them to thrive. Yeah.
So, I like that. Yeah. Speaking of conducive space and spaces that you're very much a part of, Mr. Wango Alfred, you're also big on the creative and the Nairobi space, and you have an amazing venture called Karibu Nairobi.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's such a beautiful movement because we see monuments and we see spaces and we feel them and we texturize them in our memory as being either bad or good or historical or whatever, or just we have a memory of them that is not really the memory that we should have. Okay. Like, if you think of Uhuru Park, let's say we have a memory of Wangari Maathai being beaten up by the police, but we should really ask ourselves, why was she being beaten up? to safeguard that memory and the sanctity of that Uhuru Park.
For sure.
But you have taken it a step further. You have educated yourself about these spaces. You have immersed yourself about these spaces. So I really feel that it's important for me to give you your flowers because I thank you for keeping that memory and culture alive.
Yeah.
Because this is the problem that we have with colonization is that a lot of times we didn't tell our stories, so we never knew who we were.
Yeah.
So you're helping us to know who we are as Nairobians.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is Karibu Nairobi? And what I want you to sketch today, I don't want you to sketch me.
Okay.
I want you to sketch maybe something that comes to memory, the one thing that is etched in your memory when you think about Nairobi, as you tell us about Nairobi.
So ideally, Karibu Nairobi is quite an interesting brand. It began with the passion of sharing images of Nairobi.
Yeah.
So at some point, I bought like this phone that I had saved up for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it had a beautiful camera. And I found myself taking photos of stuff anytime I'm in a matatu or walking around Nairobi.
Yeah.
Because as a photographer, you get to see an image before you take it. So, but at the time, now you have a camera that you can pop up quick and get an image. So that's how it began, and I was like, okay, let me now, open a platform where I can share these images and show people like, this is how Nairobi looks like.
Yeah.
Once you decide to stop and just look, not just see things.
Yeah.
So ideally, I was like, let me start a diary of images, and that's how Karibu Nairobi is like. Welcome to this crazy place that at times is also very subtle.
You really love Nairobi, you as Wango.
Yeah, man, born and bred in this city.
Yeah.
So we have to put it out there.
Yeah.
The same way other people are putting their cities out there.
Yeah, the thing is, for someone like you and I, we don't have a countryside. Like, I don't know about you, I don't have a countryside in the sense that my father's... You were there with me when I called my dad. Yeah, when I called my dad.
Sure.
My father's great-grandfather was born here, which was called Enkare. There was no Nairobi. This is where they were born. So I don't know anywhere else that I can go. And I think that's why I love Karibu Nairobi. Because for me, it's like, finally I get to know where I'm born. And all these good and crazy and interesting pieces that make up the puzzle that is Nairobi. Tell us some interesting things about this town that maybe we take for granted. Like, for example, the King African Rifles on Kenyatta Avenue. We know it for when there is running battles between protesters and the police, or just the name is synonymous with the first prime minister or the first president of this country. But do we know the significance of those three men, the statue of the three men who are standing there?
Yeah, because ideally that monument on Kenyatta Avenue, they were basically war memorial monuments. Because at the time you had, when the World War was happening, and all this British, like the British forces and all the other countries involved in the World War, they needed extra hands. So all these Africans were taken to the war. Ideally, some of them were porters, carrying weapons and all that. Just making sure that things are moving. And so after the war, definitely a lot of them died as well. And now these monuments are created just in memory of them. And if you look closely, they've been written, those who took part in the Great War, because that's when the First World War was happening. But ideally, they didn't know that a Second World War would happen. Wow. So if you go closely, you'll realize, the 1939 to 1945 is a bit different from the 1914 to 1918.
So in terms of like the font, or in terms of like the creation.
Yeah, you see one has aged a bit compared to the other. So ideally
that's the one that looks like a triangle, because I noticed one time the one that's opposite the monument.
Yeah, the Zikombili.
I was like, why does this look different in terms of like the quality?
Yeah. So ideally, Kenyatta Avenue was among like the first streets in Nairobi, because it was, I think it was the first dual carriage street in Nairobi. Had a lot of banks as well, where Bank of India is. That was where the Legislative Council was at the time. You had a lot of banks coming in, inclusive of the Bank of India, which is the first bank in Kenya.
Where KCB's Kipande House. And how they'd keep, I think they used to keep some of the stuff for building the railway there.
Exactly. Actually, the railway ilikuwa inapita through Kenyatta Avenue. Then at some point it got too noisy and they had to take it where railway is right now.
Do you wish it stayed? I wish it stayed.
I don't know. Considering, like, imagine those trains passing through.
No,
Kenyatta
but also it would have
Avenue.
made a movement very easy. Imagine you living in Lavington.
Uh-huh.
By the way, guys, this guy, I've realized that you're into the bushy life. Or bushy life was always meant for you.
Nah, bro.
His studio is in the most posh
Bro, once I think
estate in Kenya, which is Lavington, one of the most
once
posh.
in a while, you need to move out of the space you're in. You get to see what's on the other
I like,
side.
and creatives, I told you, you're in that problematic phase as an artist. You're in that Basquiat phase of like, instead of saying you're a diva, you say, once in a while. As an artist, you need to fill yourself with spaces.
Lazima, you go to check out other spaces, see what's on the other side.
Oh my God, let's go back to Karibu Nairobi. For anyone who's coming to Nairobi, and we are saying Karibu Nairobi, first, they need to look for you so you can take them around.
Yeah.
But apart from that, and we'll give you handles and everything, what are the 3 places somebody either born here or who isn't born here, they must experience in Nairobi? And I know I don't want to give a number, but for purposes of time, what are the 3 places? Yeah.
Number 1, highly recommended, the Kenya National Archives.
Kenya National Archives.
Yeah, man.
Which, by the way, 99% of Nairobians go through there to go and get their public service vehicles. They do not know what exists inside there.
Bro, it's 50 shillings. And
they don't even know what is inside.
Yeah, because it's a whole collection by Kenya's second vice president, Murumbi.
Yeah.
And man, he did a service to us, considering like his collection was very huge that the British Museum wanted to buy like that collection.
Wow.
But he was like, let my people learn about their history and culture.
Yeah.
So it's very important for people just to go check out what's there.
And let's give a bit of context more to Murumbi, apart from being the vice president, and how he literally went far and wide.
Yeah.
And here we mean he would go to Moyale, to Isiolo, to Northeastern, to Lamu, to get artifacts,
For sure.
to get pieces of history,
Yeah.
so he could keep them for us to see.
Yeah.
And he had so much. The reason why they even moved to the archives is because some of them got burnt down somewhere else.
Close to I&M, they had a gallery there, it burnt down. So some of his collection is at the archives.
Yeah.
Some of the other collection is at Nairobi Gallery.
Yeah, Nairobi Gallery.
So that's like another place I'd recommend for someone to go check out.
As I digress, as we get to the 2 other places, do you feel like you are, like his memory is living through someone like you, like he's looking down and saying, thank you, God, for someone like Wango, because this is why I was doing it in the first place, so people can continue to love themselves and love Nairobi and love Kenya as they are.
Yeah.
Do you feel you're living through a living testimony of his work?
Yeah, for sure. Because ideally, he definitely had that vision of me living this work of art here.
Yeah.
It will speak to some.
Yeah.
And hopefully those people get, to continue and pass this message down generations.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably say 3 generations after him.
Yeah.
But you never know, we probably get the impact going down many generations later, because a people without a knowledge of their identity is like a tree without their roots.
Wow, that's beautiful. Into the year 2400, nobody will know who we are, but they will know what we left.
For sure.
The 2 other places that somebody has to visit when they're in Nairobi, whether they're Nairobians.
I would recommend
Buy Sage. Before Sage goes, you have a crush on Sage, right? So Sage is going. Do you have a crush on Sage?
Well, she's beautiful. So
that's not the answer. We know Sage is hot. Sage is hot AF. Do you have a crush on Sage? And why?
Okay.
Like, what draws you to her?
I think she has quite a calm spirit, which I like.
A sage spirit.
Yeah, man, very zen, like Sage.
Yeah.
She has a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
Plus, she seems like a nice person, kind and all that.
So when I told you to speak to the camera and tell your mom what she means to you because of all the things she's been able to provide for you, you were just like, oh my God, thank you. 3 words for your mother. Then for Sage, 1927 words.
Nah, I just say she's kind.
You've literally filled up a whole Kenya composition, not less than 1.5 pages for Sage. Wow, moms really struggle for their kids. But I understand, mom, these people never see. Mom, me, I got your back. So the other 2 places that, apart from Sage's heart, I had to. the other two places that you feel that we have to go check out?
Railways Museum.
Yeah, you know me, I love that place.
Well, partly because there's a whole history about the Lunatic Express.
Yeah.
Which is a railway.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of art there because at some point I was an artist.
Yay! And we have my friend. Remind me your name again. Evans has bought for us. Hey, Evans, this looks nice. Evans, what is this? It's a what?
Beef chomain.
Beef trombane. Chomain. Like wam chomes.
Wam chomes.
Thank you. Evans is from Nude. Evans literally sends nudes to all the guests here. That's what he has done. His brother's nudes. Thank you, Evans. So now, as you tell us about the Railway Museum and the Lunatic Express and when we talk about the museum, am I holding? Is it the right way? I think it's the right way.
Guess what, Kapo? Let's see how that.
So
goes.
you need to get do it on your own.
All right.
So we are having the Wamchomes. So remember we were at NSK, that's Nairobi Street Kitchen, my favorite restaurant, you guys know by now. I was the first Kenyan to, I launched this restaurant. So the story here is, I don't know how to use,
bro.
I don't know.
I've never
I don't know how to use chopsticks. I don't know. So stop. Why you worried? Break them.
Okay. Sawa.
I just know. Should we Google how you're supposed to hold them? Iggy, could you please come and show us? Just show your hand. Just go round and show us. I'm doing it well. So yeah, you're supposed to. Okay. So this. See. Oh, you're a lefty.
Yeah, man.
So above the second finger, in the
I think
between the middle finger and the index finger.
I'm holding it. Okay.
And then now we're gonna try and eat this with you.
Sawa.
But now we try eat it as you tell me.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's a new.
So I mean, this is the thing, guys. I know we're talking about Karibu Nairobi, but also about the Nairobi Street Kitchen. The point is travel. What do we say in our tribe? He who doesn't travel thinks it's the mother who cooks best.
Okay.
In Kikuyu we say what? Utacheraga ugaga no nyina oe koruga. The one who doesn't travel thinks it's the mother who cooks the best.
Yes.
So when you travel, you realize, my mother cannot cook. People are cooking, and it's in a loving way. To mean travel and see.
For sure.
So
kwingi kuona mengi.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But this is hot. Ay.
Hey.
I got it.
Okay. Hey, Morio. Sawa, nyama moja ime.
You only got one.
Man.
And a leaf. That's now on your beard.
Okay, at least I took a broccoli.
Since you're Rasta, do you eat like you don't eat meat? Are you Rasta like that? Are you a Rastafarian? No. Oh my God, this is so hard.
I do not identify as a Rastafari, but I borrow a lot of ideologies from many different communities and beliefs. Because there's always a commonality in a lot of them. And
but you eat meat.
But yeah, one thing I acknowledge is with the meat you're having, it's important if you're killing an animal, kill it with dignity.
Okay.
You don't let it suffer.
Okay.
So, or like if you're keeping animals, don't have them like stuffed up in a place. At least treat them. I
feel like you're becoming better. I'm very worried. This is so wrong. I showed him how to hold the chopsticks. Now I can't put any food in my mouth.
And guess what, man? That's
my God, I give up.
That's how we're moving
fork.
in Nairobi.
Me, I want a fork.
Juu imekuwa ngumu.
Bring a fork.
Imekuwa ngumu.
Just bring a fork. Akaranga, go and get me a fork. I can't. I can't do it. I think I've been breaking it down for you
Bro, I'm guessing, man. Hata mimi na guess na.
No, but I feel like by moving the food around, there's a guy called Jodes Mwaura.
Yeah, good
Fresh
friend of mine.
Koba.
Freshest,
He's here looking at me. He does not know he's coming to do the same exact thing.
freshest boy in Nairobi, man.
He's the freshest boy in Kenya.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Not in Nairobi, in Kenya.
Wanna do vitu amazing sana out here.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Jodes with the gang. Yeah, so big respect to them.
Since you want to show off, continue suffering. So the reason why we're sharing food is because it's important to share food with your friends.
Sharing food is important in every African setup, you know.
Yeah.
There's no malice if you share food.
That's a deep way of looking at it. I never thought about it like that. Another fork. He can't.
Yeah, food unites people.
So, do you know how to cook? Do you cook anything?
Yeah, man, I cook.
Or what do you cook? Not because you're a bachelor.
Well,
like, do you know how to cook?
I know how to cook, but
because bachelors can cook anything.
Ugali mayai is
that's not cooking. That's not
no.
cooking. Ugali is very bland food, by the way.
But it's
when your friends come to Karibu Nairobi and they want to travel and see the world, I know they tell you that ugali is tasteless. Ugali is just ugali is not. Ugali is bland.
Unaacha iungue kidogo, so the flavor.
No, that's just no. So you cook ugali and that's
scrambled
for
eggs.
my listeners in America. What is ugali in? That's grits.
Ugali,
He
it's
cooks
like,
grits.
like pap.
Pap.
So it's a flour. It's porridge, corn meal porridge.
It's hardened corn porridge, corn flour.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the two other places that you must travel and see in Nairobi.
At times there are shows happening.
Yeah.
Could
we are the second Railway Museum. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, let's go back to the Railway Museum. It's a Lunatic Express. We get to see a lot of
Art.
German
machines.
and the story, behind the Queen using the railways, the Kenyan railways. We get to see about the cutlery that was used then.
Yeah.
Some of the things like the seating arrangement, all that stuff, including ships. So you're saying that's a place that you must, and it's so cheap and affordable. Oh my God.
And also, there's a lot of graffiti there. It's probably, I think, the longest mural in Nairobi. Because I was once part of a collective of artists called, under a studio called As Depot at Railways. And this was under a very great artist called Mukabi Panye. And man, the vibe there was amazing. I met a lot of beautiful artists there.
Yeah.
So Das Depot was a home to a lot of us until it got to a point they were like, okay, we need to use this space, so you artists need to figure out where you'll work.
Yeah.
So that kind of adds a spice to this whole space. Yeah. So yeah, Railways Museum, highly recommended. Another nice place, but it could be a bit traumatic to others, is the August Memorial, Bomb Blast Memorial Park.
Okay.
Close to Railways.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of history in regards to the bombing that happened in 1998, close to the American Embassy. So it's a really nice place for people to go understand the history of this country and not taking for granted, the peace that we have. For people to see the aspect of community. Yeah. And Kenyans showing up for each other, because at the time it was a very trying time for this country. But people showed up for each other because, a tragedy had come and it affected everyone in this country. And people had to come through for each other. It was a devastating moment for everyone in this country. Yeah. So, it reminds us that, we're always there for each other. During the good and the bad times, we always have to be there for each other.
And that's what makes our people, in our difficult times and in our laughing times and our turn-up times. Yeah. But especially in our most difficult times, that's when we learn who we are as a people.
For sure.
Are you eating, Nama? You're going to let people think that I've been eating the guests' food?
Bro, I'm enjoying these noodles. As much as, we are still experimenting with chopsticks.
Let's talk about your art now.
Yes.
How do you survive in this Nairobi, being an artist? How do you... I know you have a beautiful, beautiful workshop and sort of shop also.
Yeah.
in Lavington. But how do you, and also online, you're very big online in terms of like pushing your art and all that stuff. How do you survive COVID, bad policies, punitive taxes towards creatives in this Nairobi? How do you survive?
Bro, I think it's the aspect of also being in a lot of different ventures. It helps keep me afloat. You're not like really out of the water, but you're just, your head is out of the water. Because trying to have multiple streams at least helps sustain, the different things I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because the aspect of Karibu Nairobi with the tours I'm doing.
Yeah.
Having apparel under Karibu Nairobi as well.
Yeah.
Curating events under...
Please tell us some of the things that you sell, the merchandise you sell.
So
you've got this.
Yeah, I have such pins.
Yeah.
There are t-shirts.
Yeah.
Karibu Nairobi started with... I used to do tie-dye socks until I could no longer find socks in Nairobi. So that's how
But why socks? Why did you start with socks?
Because...
Did you not have socks growing up? And you are like, my life... my life mission, I will never lack socks in my life.
Nah, I was actually me and a friend of mine were just chilling. So he the apparel, we actually started doing it with him.
Yeah.
And we kind of brainstormed on what product can we have out there that's different. So the socks was a way to do it, and we do tie-dye socks.
Yeah.
Which did amazing.
Yeah.
Till I think probably a policy came in place, and we could no longer find white socks, because ideally we work with white cotton socks.
Yeah.
For the dye to be effective, and
also you also take care of the environment by ensuring that you are using recycled socks.
Well, we started with Mtumba socks, but now it gets to a point you're like, you
can't get enough. I mean, the supply isn't consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the prices are not consistent.
Yeah, you also want some level of consistency with the product you're putting out there.
Yeah, okay.
So it got to a point we had to rethink of other things to deal with.
Yeah.
So at some point we even got into doing tie-dye baby clothes. So we'd customize. Someone tells us, okay, we want such a color. So we do onesies and bibs and all these baby clothes in the colors they'd want.
Yeah.
Then we did a campaign called the Humanist, Mtu ni Utu, where we did it was a half black dyed, then half white.
Yeah.
And did a whole campaign around that, where we even did a mini docu around the Humanist campaign. So if you check out my YouTube, Wango Alfred, you'll see a story we did of a good friend of mine called Bacteria. Kibera Ghost Rider.
Bacteria.
So
you guys are infecting the world with goodness.
With good bacteria, man.
Yeah.
Because the world needs a whole lot of positive vibes and humanity.
Yeah.
We need to be reminded that there's still lots of humanity out there.
How do you cultivate your creativity in terms of the people you partner with, the people you meet up and work with? How do you ensure that your friendships are...
Yeah.
I mean, they're symbiotic, but also they're productive. You're not just out here turning up, going for gigs and whatever, that you're actually growing each other in the industry.
I think, first of all, as an individual, you first have to do a lot of work on yourself, knowing what you want, because you definitely attract who you are.
Yeah.
So by the time you're getting to a spot and you meet someone and your energies are very in sync, they're definitely on the same wavelength with you. So it wouldn't be difficult talking with them, even before you get to see their craft. But already on your first interaction, you're having conversations that you're like, okay, I like how they're thinking.
Yeah. That's
already it's a good starting point. And from there, you create magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about before how I realized that this story just left like that.
Okay.
The things that you cook.
Oh.
You told us ugali and mayai.
Ugali and mayai. I enjoy doing meat. So beef, chicken, some kienyeji chicken.
Please tell us things that will make you get a wife right now. Yeah. Surprise us. Tell us, me and my lasagna done.
I don't know how to cook fancy food.
I can make some pretty good mutton. Done.
I just make good kienyeji chicken and some vegetables.
So when you make by saying good kienyeji chicken, kienyeji means, what does it mean again?
Indigenous?
No, not indigenous.
Indigenous chicken.
No, it's not indigenous. There is a name they call it. There's a name they say it in English when the chicken is one that just roams around.
Free range,
Free range.
Okay.
Thank you, not
Okay.
indigenous.
But kienyeji, man. Yeah, kienyeji chicken. Yeah.
I am never gonna look at kienyeji the same way again. I wanna be like, I want indigenous chicken.
Yeah.
So free range chicken basically means the one that wakes up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, some of us are really raised free range style.
Yeah.
You wake up and whatever you eat is on you.
The chicken goes out hustling.
It's
man.
on you.
Yeah,
And the chicken knows how to come back home.
For sure.
But these other ones, they leave the house. It's a wrap. It's a wrap for them.
Kidogo,
So do you like chase after them, like slaughter them, or you just go and buy the one that's slaughtered?
Yeah, I go somewhere, then like they slaughter for you.
When was or you've never slaughtered a chicken?
I have, but I'm not a big fan of the slaughtering part.
Why? You feel sorry or mercy for the chicken?
I don't know. It's so
You
something.
know, I don't want to laugh because these are people get cancelled. But I want people to know I am asking the questions. I just want to know.
Now I prefer someone else, like, dealing with that. Then I get to. After that, now, plucking the feathers, getting.
But
the
you
insides
still don't
outside.
want to see the chicken in pain. Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay. They better make it quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like let it die in dignity.
Are you an empathetic person? Do you feel like you have a lot of empathy?
Yeah,
for
empathy.
people?
Empathy is one of like my values. So
Yeah.
whenever I'm handling any situation, I have
Yeah.
to be very empathetic.
Yeah.
Because I think it's also a skill that came in handy with my photography.
Yeah.
As a storyteller using photography, I have to put myself in your shoes
Yeah.
when telling your story. Because ideally, me telling your story, I don't want to have a biased outlook when writing this story.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to victimize you as well.
Yeah.
So it's looking how can I understand your story and how do I put it out there in a manner that it's very subjective, whereby now the audience can now look at the story and perceive it as how they relate to the situation in their life, because all of us have different experiences, and you relate and you consume information differently depending on your background and experiences.
I mean, as artists, we have a huge responsibility to, fight for the rights of other people, be empathetic, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't have, the crop of artists that we are now. I was talking to Nje, you know Nje, and you know Nje, right? The guy who does these rings.
I've seen.
Yeah, so I was talking to him, and he's telling me, Anto, what can you guys do as artists to talk about the ills that are happening?
Okay.
Can you sing about them? Can you do plays? What do you do in this very tumultuous times? And I told him, Jay, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm afraid. I am not those artists who are gonna be like Fela and out here chanting people's names and ministers' names, because we live in a world where before, there were assassinations, but before you could live, like you said, in a community of people who are like-minded, who would take care of you, who would hide you, exile you. Now, I could literally be killed from this food that we've eaten right here through some agent who has been sent, and I've been hiding myself. So there's a lot of fear in terms of creating works that will scare or shock or desensitize or that kind of, or incite people. Do you still feel that this is the job of artists or creatives to talk about the ills that happen in society? Or do you feel like, no, you guys are always leaving us to that work. You're gaslighting us to do the work that you should do at the ballot.
Okay.
Is this our job to talk about the things that are affecting us in this country
That's quite
or in
interesting.
Africa?
Quite interesting question. Because ideally, being an artist is, bro, it's a crown. Heavy is the head. So ideally, your whole purpose coming here is to tell the story of your environment, your people.
Yeah.
So, yes, in as much as you would want to blame the people because they can make the decision on the ballot, but you're a reflection of your environment. If there's a lot of ills in the society, it will reflect in your work because that's what you are brought onto this world to do. And it doesn't have to take an event happening just because there are protests happening this 1 week. And this is the week that now we decide to sing songs against social ills. But there are social ills happening every day.
It needs to be your DNA.
Bro, you need to stand for something.
Yeah.
And if you want to stand against the ills happening in the society, then that's what you need to be preaching the whole time. Not just when the society things are messed up.
Yeah.
People need to see you and see you like you stand for something. People like Amilcar Cabral and Thomas Sankara, they stood for something their entire life.
Yeah.
It's
and they died for it.
Exactly. It's not that one thing happened and all of a sudden they were vocal.
Yeah.
And when things are cool now, they're speaking a different language. No, your work your work reflects a lot about what's happening in the society.
Yeah.
So whenever people in another country get to see my art, they understand,
Yeah.
oh, this is a situation in Kenya, this is a situation in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily when something big happens,
Yeah.
but entirely people in your space and your
Yeah.
circle already
Yeah.
know that Anto speaks for this.
Yeah.
So it's about having something that you stand for
Yeah.
and you stick to it.
Which said it's powerful because I get you. You know, sometimes, and that's when you say the heavy is the head that wears the crown. Is some people are gonna be vocal about stuff because at that moment, the gut and the bravado to do those things is to save the soul. While if you're doing it just for one day moment, your whole gut and bravado is to save your gut.
Yes,
It's for your stomach.
for sure.
Because then people make noise or they activate themselves
Yeah.
or they, whatever, just because they want to be called into offices.
Yeah, man.
Until stop making noise. Because we've seen some people have lost their lives.
Yeah.
Now you want to shout. No. Let's keep you quiet
Yeah.
by buying you a car, by making you an nominated MP,
Or probably
or
you
nominate
just,
you to
or
parliament.
you
Or
probably,
just,
there's something you just want to push and you're like, this is the
Exactly.
perfect opportunity
so
for that.
you don't really mean it. And
Yeah.
you're saying that it means that there's nobody who's awake.
For sure.
And even if they are, a lot of times we, people, for example, in mainstream media, are not highlighting the people who talk about some of these things. Because I know Kenyan artists, visual artists, will paint and they will talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
That people just don't want to go and see in the exhibitions. They probably don't understand them or they won't give them the time of day.
Yeah.
So we are there. We just need to be heard more.
Yeah.
But I love what you said. You need to stand for something.
Yeah, and also that's where things like public art comes in, or graffiti.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you guys won't see my art in galleries, I'm putting it out there. Because the same thing advertisement agencies do. They'll put a whole brand on a billboard in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
and you'll have to see it every day.
Exactly.
And they don't ask for permission.
Exactly.
And that's why you'd see like graffiti artists having stuff everywhere, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you guys have to consume this.
Yeah.
So this and this is happening in the country.
Yeah.
You're putting it on a wall, and you guys have to see it. In as much as some will term it as vandalism.
Yeah.
But in the few days it will be up there, you guys will have to see it by force.
Yeah, they say it's vandalism because now the message is not in their power anymore.
For sure.
And when it's someone else's power, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's vandalism. That's
Yes.
a wastage. Or where it's in their power, someone has to pay to
Yes.
see it. Though we see it for free, then that becomes art.
Yes.
And the one thing about art that I learned when I was studying intellectual property is that one of the reasons why copyright in American law was a huge issue. They had to take care not to eliticify or make it elitist.
Yes.
That only certain people can call something art.
Yeah.
So thereby it deserves copyright. And some things are no, that's not artistic enough.
Yeah.
And because it's you who's saying it's not artistic enough, so it's not copyrighted. So it's good for us to learn a lot of these things. You're very knowledgeable as far as history is concerned, as far as art is concerned, as far as creativity is concerned. But let's talk about the crown on our heads. That is our Rasta.
Yeah.
I am very cognizant of the fact that people call Rastas dreadlocks, and I'm constantly reminding myself not to call them dreadlocks because of the history that comes with what we have on our heads.
Yes.
Please give us a little background about why you have Rasta, what it means to you, and what it should mean to people who, especially now that we're not really fighting for our freedom, to be decolonized, what it should mean to people when they see us with Rasta.
Yeah. First of all, there's that aspect of homage as well to Mau Mau.
Yeah.
Because you find also like the Rastafari movement were inspired by these guys who are termed as barbaric.
Yes.
Because they are like fighting all these imperialists in Kenya. So when guys out there are like, damn, there are guys here with like, they are here all out, and they're fighting for freedom.
Yeah.
So for them, they felt like they're standing with these guys, like a show of solidarity.
Yes.
So there's that aspect. Also, there's a sense of freedom in it.
Yeah.
Because ideally, if my hair grows long and it mats and becomes, this, it's part of you, it's part of your identity. So for me, I feel like it's me expressing my identity to the fullest.
Yeah.
And like a sign of identity, because like as you say, there's a crown, you find that certain things are expected from you. I'm always walking in town and I meet like the most unfortunate of people. Yeah. Because they know if you have, such hair, you have a good heart,
Yeah.
you're humble and all that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a positive kind of
Yeah.
peer pressure,
Yeah.
because now the less fortunate in the society know that this person has a good heart and they'll help me out.
Wow.
And now little kids in the streets will walk up to you and they're like, oh, could you like buy me food today? You're like,
Yeah.
okay, today wasn't a good day.
Yeah.
I don't have money.
Yeah.
But if there are days, like if you have something, you'll give to them. But
Yeah.
there are days you won't have something.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, okay, don't worry.
Yeah.
I know tomorrow it'll be a better day.
Yeah.
And this is someone who lives on the street, but they're wishing you like good fortune.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't take that lightly.
Yeah.
And that happened because they saw my hair and they already had a certain prejudice that's very positive.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives me like a kind of a reassurance that
Yeah.
you're already like a beacon of good tidings in the society.
Yeah.
People see you as some positive energy. So, man, I appreciate that a lot. So, I enjoy having my hair.
Yeah, for me,
and
my
there's like, it's also like an antenna.
Yeah.
Because ideally,
Oh, this is very spiritual.
'Cause-
For me even.
yeah. Because if there's any danger, you realize like even the hair, the strands on your hands,
Yes.
zitasimama.
Exactly.
Now imagine all this hair, you
Yeah.
can feel
You
energy.
Feel energy.
Uko damu yangu ikubaliane na huyu, but it's because
Yeah.
like your instinct, your intuition
Yeah.
is very strong.
Yeah.
And hair does that.
For me, what the relationship I have with hair is very interesting and sad at the same time.
Okay.
Interesting because I'm lucky that my hair grows very fast.
Yeah.
So naturally, my
Not
parents
the
had
case with me.
but still, like, there's people who try and it does not grow.
Inakata.
So I had no option
Yeah.
but to grow out the hair.
Okay.
Then also the sad part is that for me to grow out the hair, I had to lie and say that I was doing some movie.
Okay.
And I had to have dreadlocks. Don't worry, mom, I'll cut the hair later.
Yeah.
And then the hair was never being cut.
Years later,
so
they're
one
still
time my mom
waiting.
tells me, ile movie, I'm like, movie gani?
Yeah.
So I caught myself in the lie. I was like, ile movie sikuitwa.
So
So why did you still grow the dreadlocks? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you know. Da, 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 da.
movie
So,
itakuja baadaye.
but
Yeah.
then the thing is, the sadness for me in that scenario
Yeah.
is that I have to explain to my mom, who's Kikuyu, or to anybody else who is Kikuyu, as to the importance of what this hair means. That my being able to sing what I can sing, to dress the way that I can dress, to have this podcast, this building to exist here, to walk in the streets the way that I walk and the way that I dress and be who I am,
Yeah.
is because of people who had dreadlocks,
Sure.
who had to have them cut. And by being cut by the roots is by dying
Yes.
for me to have that freedom.
Indeed.
And then I have to constantly explain to a black person why this should
Yeah.
not be a point of a conversation for anybody.
Yeah.
Why anybody who's a police officer can have this and be at their job.
Yeah.
Somebody who wants to work for the government can have this and still be able to deliver. But we have to constantly bring ourselves down. We have to constantly explain ourselves. I feel very sad.
To explain your Africanness.
Imagine, explain, this is me.
Yeah.
This is the most natural that our people kept their hair.
Bro, do you know dreadlocks even were way before the colonial
It is
administration
way
came
before.
here?
This is how people kept their hair.
Do you know the pastime activity for a lot of young warriors,
Yeah.
like Kikuyu warriors at the time, they'd be like decorating each other,
Exactly,
making each
plait their
other's
hair, yeah.
So, and the fact that they have even like there's a Kikuyu name for locks called Mendega,
Medega.
and constantly they'd be plaiting each other's hair. And what happens? Once you get a wife, now your wife would cut your hair. So you would be said like you got someone to shave your hair.
Yeah.
But there are certain people in society who would have their hair out, and this included artists and spiritual leaders and people like blacksmiths, because blacksmiths are also spiritual leaders in the
Aturi.
society. Yeah, because if you're able to extract metal from soil, and right now we can't do that, that must have been very spiritual.
Yeah.
So they're among the few people who would still have their hair
Yeah.
even after getting married.
Yeah.
And even little kids, if you would have been seen that they have some sense of like some spiritual power, they'd
Yeah.
be like prophets in the society.
Yeah.
They'd have some hair left up here
Yup.
whenever they're being shaved.
Yep.
And now whenever someone saw that kid, they knew this kid needs to be protected at all costs,
Yeah.
because they're about to give us the answers in this society.
Yeah.
And you see it across many societies in the world. You see like this Shaolin people with some hair up here.
And when they untie the bun, it's very long hair.
Exactly.
You see people like monks, so they cut their hair for that significance.
Yeah.
There are those who keep their hair all the way to as long as it will get.
Exactly.
They will not touch their hair.
Yeah. So you realize there's something about hair and intuition and spirituality.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting, because I really feel we need to demystify what hair means, and but then also the effect of the white man on the way we view ourselves and the way we view our hair.
Yes.
Because even the name dreadlocks, I refuse to use that term dreadlocks all the time.
Yeah.
Someone is like, dreadlocks. I'm like, nope, I don't have dreadlocks.
It's a rasta.
I have rastas.
Yeah.
And because and even sometimes I feel nice when I meet anybody and they're like, Rasta.
Yeah, man.
They're like they just feel like you have, like you said, they're just good vibes.
Yeah.
So we're constantly judging ourselves based on the yardstick of somebody who already told us we were not enough. Speaking of which, as we conclude, we are able to communicate because of the language that we speak. We're now speaking the colonizers' languages in English. We can speak in Swahili if we want to. We can speak in Sheng. But the one thing that you and I share is our mother tongue. And a lot of people do have their mother tongue, whether it's English or French or Portuguese or it's Zulu, Xhosa, it's Ndebele, whatever.
Yeah.
We come from a generation that I don't know if it was a thing with the more English you speak, the more outspoken you are, the more eloquent you are, the more opportunities are available for you.
Yeah.
So our parents sort of didn't really care if we spoke Kikuyu or not, or our mother tongue. For us, it was, what do you need to grasp to get you to the next level? And your mother tongue is not it.
Yeah.
And again, the conversation around self-hate. Why are you so keen on taking a journey on understanding your culture, understanding Kikuyu hieroglyphics, and understanding instruments? And in instruments here, I mean physical instruments and spiritual instruments, that is human beings who are immersed in the Kikuyu culture for you to find yourself. Why are you all of a sudden interested in finding out who you are?
Bro, it's a matter of finding self.
After I've said all those things, you should have said king. All those deep things, you have said king. The reason. I was like, bro.
Jabba.
What?
I called you Jabba.
Those are not stories that Jabba. Those are like Jabba.
Jabba.
Yes, like thank you.
So ideally, it's a matter of finding self.
Yeah.
Because this is the identity you're born with before other identities come in.
Yeah.
You know, this is an identity that you can trace down many generations.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a matter of, we got to a point where, COVID came, and all other systems that help propagate a lot of brainwash had been closed at the time. Things like schools at the time. They're like a system.
Yeah.
Schools, religious institutions at the time, they're closed down. So people had time to be with themselves and really understand, so who am I without all these other aspects? Because from the moment you're born, you're already introduced to this whole other system. So I think I had time with myself, and I got deep into, digging stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting this new information and I'm relating a lot to it.
What are some of these things that you found out about yourself or about the Kikuyu culture?
You get to understand things like your clan. You understand the power that your clan has. We read stories in the Bible of people who had certain powers, but you want to tell me that it's only in this time and age that these powers don't exist? Then you realize, really, even in my African setup, like, people had certain powers.
Yeah, dreamers and prophets.
You go to someone and they tell you, go and do this and this. And if you're having any misfortune, if you're sick, you go to someone. All they needed to do is to go to a forest and get, the intuition.
Yeah.
That was a power.
Yeah.
They're very grounded.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, I think we have this power. The same power that you'd speak good things onto your life. That's something very deep. That's something, when a child was born, ululations had to be there.
Exactly.
For a girl, there were 4 ululations. For a boy, 5 ululations. And for both of them, one ululation that was very important is called Oradhi, which is like being a prophet, that you can speak good things in your life and that they happen. That's a power that we have, but we don't. You need to say it to yourself a lot. You need to say good things to your life a lot. That's you being a prophet in your life. And I was like, yes, we have this power, but you don't say it enough. So constantly I was like, let me go deeper. I need to understand the power I have.
Yeah.
And I need to teach the people around me,
Yeah.
generations later on need to know the power they have.
Yeah.
You know, there's one of my favorite artists, Chronix. He says that, you know, there's a song called Black is Beautiful. I love that song.
Yeah.
And
They never told us
that black is
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah. So he's like, what
us.
will happen when kids are born and they see themselves in books where they were kings and now they're in a whole society. They're like, where we oppressed, but we see ourselves in books, you know, as gods, as kings.
Black witches.
Yeah.
Black casts.
Yeah. So
Black,
kids, when they are born, they need to know that they have a lot of power.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, I was like, okay, let me take up this role, understand my power, and teach people the power they have.
Yeah.
That's one way of liberating minds.
Yeah.
Because I feel in as much as, yes, we'll always complain that things are not working, it's because we've not allowed ourselves to tap into our innermost power. And you're like, okay, this is what we believe in, and we know it's right, and we push it because we have that power.
Wow.
We have the power of getting ourselves from, you know, this whole situation that it seems like, you know, we can never get out of this hole.
Yeah.
But bro, we have the power. We've always been powerful. But
I like that.
Yeah, man.
And thank you for liberating us with such amazing conversation. I mean, I feel like every conversation that I've been having has to have a part 2, so I can get to know, now that we are post-COVID.
Yeah, man.
You know, now that you're doing more Karibu Nairobi.
Whole new age.
But before we finish, tell me about hiking and what your problem is. You don't like your house. Why are you always hiking?
Yeah, man.
Is it that
it's a cult, bro.
Genuinely, what is your problem? Because you're trying to make the rest of us look so lazy.
So I think, apart from my hair that gives me a sense of grounding, being in nature gives me a very deep sense of grounding. So I work with a community called Let's Drift.
Yeah.
It's a community.
Let's drift.
Let's drift.
So just means let's go with the flow. Let's go.
Yo, we move.
Yeah, let's
be
move.
like water. Be like water.
Yeah.
You know, water, it either goes around
Exactly.
obstacles.
It's fluid. Just
or
go. Yeah.
Or it passes with the obstacle.
True that.
Yeah, so you be like water. So ideally, it's a community of adventurous people, and it all involves a lot of hikes. So most weekends I'm out in nature, and it's a whole opportunity, first of all, for me to be a leader and step up, you know, giving people a sense of direction on the trail. I enjoy teaching people. On some of the hikes, you know, I'm always in a good mood. I'm like,
on some.
Yeah,
most you're not.
Nah, at times I just want to be in my space. At times, you know, you want to be
I was about to join you, now I'm worried.
Nah, what happens?
I don't know if I should.
Nah, the hikes, you know, I'll just go and I want to be in my space.
Yeah, you also want to be led.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I also enjoy like teaching history. You know, I go to different places, and for instance, like this coming weekend, I'm going to a hike in Kereita Forest.
Yeah.
Kereita means Kereita. Ita is like war.
Yeah.
So it was a forest where the Mau Mau would hide during the whole
place of the fighters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are caves in there that we usually go hiking. And it's in a place called Lari, which in 1953 was a hotbed for the Lari massacre.
Yeah.
And I have to teach people once we go there that this is the history of this place.
Wow.
A lot of blood was shed on these nice tea plantations that we walk on. And it's very important for you to acknowledge that the history you're enjoying right now, people had to die.
The freedom to even be here.
Yes, man.
People had to die for us to even be able to come to this place.
Exactly.
Wow.
So at times I want to teach people about the history.
Yeah.
I enjoy plants because, you know, with a background in
what type of plants?
Man, plants, all plants, as long as it doesn't kill you.
do you know remember when we were kids and they used to tell us that you're supposed to remove weed like man weed.
Yeah. Because
little did they know that there are people who are going to love weed.
Bro, you actually find blackjack would be termed as a weed, but it's actually like medicinal.
You miss the drifts.
I know. Sodomipol.
You missed the drift. when teachers told us that weeds are not good for other plants. Unwanted. Bro,
they call them unwanted.
Do they
plants.
know in these streets what people are doing with weeds? Weeds is a wanted plant.
Medicine. It's medicine.
In fact now there's been a lot of what's that thing called? There's been a lot of there's a word the Kenyans like to use. Msako, like when there's operations
okay.
to get this weed out of like, the peddlers and whatever. So the price of weed has gone up because Kenyans are suffering.
Yeah.
Because the wanted plant is really very rare. I'm not giving you ideas. I hope you're not getting ideas. To start selling.
Well, sodomaple they call it a weed, but inasaidia ringworms.
What is that?
Sodomaple.
What is that?
Dogu.
Oh, that green one.
The yellow berries.
Yeah, but it's green fast.
Then becomes yellow.
They say it's like, it's called Sodom's apple.
Yeah, inasaidia na ringworms.
So why is it called Sodom's apple? What is it doing in Sodom?
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah, like why is it Sodom's apple?
Yeah.
Is it because it's bitter or why?
But you understand all these things, they have like a significance in
When was the last time you had Sodom's apple?
Okay, I haven't had ringworms and stuff.
No, that sounds... Oh my God, you're always missing the drift. I don't want to talk to you again. Sage, this guy is slow. Don't date this guy.
Nah, he's just smart.
No, he's just so slow. Jeez. I can't believe. So anyway, as we conclude, thank you for liberating us with your amazing words of wisdom.
Each one reach one.
And each one teach one. So thank you. This is something that he was able to draw. I don't know if my videographer can make time and come and zoom into what this guy has drawn for Nairobi Street Kitchen.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like feeding my crew. Now they are fed. And this is the problem with NSK. You eat and then you just...
you get comfortable.
Now they are fed and they're just living their good life. It's a good space.
Yeah.
Have you been here before?
Nah, man, it's my first time. I've been meaning to come. I like the vibe here. Would be nice doing a show here.
Yeah, it would be nice doing an exhibition here. I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to see you do a live show, exhibition.
Because I was recently in Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, I took like nice photos there. It would be nice, people getting to see Kilimanjaro.
Nah, you can't compare that with this. Moving on swiftly. So, what is that? Why are you insulting me? Why are you insulting me? Whoever has my phone, please pick up the phone and talk to the person calling me.
Yeah, it's a quick sketch I did.
This is a sketch of Nairobi Street Kitchen. We're gonna frame this.
Yeah, sure.
And then this, you said, is the most recognizable, which is actually true. The most recognizable place in Nairobi, which is the KICC. What I didn't get are these potholes. Why are you drawing potholes and showing my American audience?
Art is subjective. To some people, they're potholes.
It's in potholes. What are these?
Nah, I just like the patterns. I don't know what I was doing. I was just led by the spirit.
Do you know anyone in Nairobi that looks like this? This feels to me like land in Nairobi that has not been used. There is no politician who will allow land like this to exist.
Well,
this is arable land.
Public space is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people need to... That's why I don't understand why Uhuru Park is not yet open 2 years later.
By the way, I've been telling Ignacio, he knows, my cinematographer, I've been telling him every single time that since Uhuru Park opened, apart from the event, I have never been able to
they just opened it for the festival and that was it.
So what's the point?
Because people need public spaces. Unajua pia, it got to a point where like creating this whole classism. If you have money,
thank you. You go to a mall.
If you're in a public space,
yes,
but you seem, suit and tie and all that, you're probably waiting for someone. But if you don't look all that, you're idling. Yeah. What is idling?
Yeah.
And
how do you idle in your own country? Your own country where you are born, where your fetus has been buried. How are you an idler in that place?
Yeah, so you get it's that aspect of we're also trying to classism even for public spaces. But ideally, everyone has a right to enjoy public spaces. Public spaces are very important in every urban and rural setup,
And this is why I love Wangari Maathai. By the way, my biggest hero, and I'm going to do a podcast episode where a guy is going to be tattooing Wangari Maathai on me.
Dope.
She, apart from God, my mother, then there's Wangari Maathai.
Man,
she's the most influential person in my life. Because I remember watching Wangari Maathai being clobbered nearly to death with blood gushing from her head, fighting for Karura Forest.
She stood for something.
Fighting for the fresh air that we enjoy.
Uhuru Park as well.
Uhuru Park was meant to host the tallest building in Africa, where KANU was meant to have its headquarters.
For sure.
I was a kid reading all the stories, and she fought tooth and nail till the American government called Moi and said, okay, now listen, this thing has brought too much noise.
Yes.
You need to calm your ego.
Yes.
Calm your ego and stop wanting to have this biggest building in Kenya.
Yes.
So people, you can have your KANU headquarters. If there was no Wangari Maathai, we would not have Karura Forest.
Yeah.
We would not have some rivers that are in Lavington.
For sure.
We would not have
Karura.
a lot of rivers, all the rivers that we have, Nairobi River.
Yes.
We would not have Karura, Central Park, Uhuru Gardens.
Yes.
I mean, guys, some of the things we take for granted.
That's why we need to stand for something.
I hope you'll be the next Wango Alfred.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be the next Wango Ajiro.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Wango Ajiro.
Yes.
Thank you for being so honest and so true and so available for us.
I appreciate it.
And thank you for liberating us with your truth.
Anytime, man.
So
also,
now,
I appreciate the work you're doing, man.
Thank you so much.
Putting out the word out there. It's a space for also us to come and share what we know.
Yes.
Because, it's about me drinking from the fountain of knowledge.
Yes.
And sharing what I have drunk.
Exactly.
Because it's, get your knowledge out there, share your knowledge.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to share knowledge.
Exactly.
And hope that now people will have the wisdom to use that knowledge for the greater good of the society.
Thank you. And thank you 89-year-old man. Thank you, Mono. Dayo. I said, you know what I said, right?
Dayo.
I'll be called out for that stuff. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I was with Wango Alfred. What does Wango mean?
Wango. Go is a shield in Kikuyu.
Ngo.
Go.
Wango.
So Wango.
Wango.
I'm of the shield.
Of the shields.
Yeah.
And me, I'm Mwangi. The shielder.
Koagaga. Mwangi Koagaga. Yeah. So.
Bye, guys. He just called me that I like going everywhere.
Well, your personality.
Kuanganga means walking aimlessly.
And your personality inakaa hivyo.
Is aimless.
It's not aimless, but it's very fluid.
Anyway, it's good that I'm not paid for this bill. Thank you. Because the more you insult me, pay for your bill. Bye, guys. Now, when you're on Kenyatta Avenue next time, or Moi Avenue, or Tomboya Street, or Moktadada Street, or Mwindimbingu Street, or Kimathi Street, at least now you have a little bit of a memory of what that is all about. And if you like hiking, well, good for you too. Next week, let's hike all the way to Nigeria and get to talk to this amazing guy called Mr. Jodes Feshkoba. He'll be telling us about working with Burna Boy, but even as we do so, please make sure you check out our Instagram at Unlock Your Soul Podcast, on TikTok, Unlock Your Soul Podcast, and on YouTube at Unlock Your Soul Podcast. And let us find out what it means to work with Burna Boy. Here's a little bit of tease. Money is disturbing you, Sindio?
Apana.
You don't know what to do with money.
Don't get it twisted.
You put in teeth.
Don't get it twisted.
Look at the jewelry all over you. Like, what is the... Can I help you keep your money?
I mean, as an artist,
there
are certain things that define you. And I believe that me looking good makes me feel good as an artist. So that's where you're going to...
But even as a person, that's nobody's...
That's the key.
That's
actually,
nobody,
kama mtu ajui, that's the key of feeling good.